A guy is walking around at night eating, not bothering anyone, when he gets hit by a man in a sack, and then, with all his might, he bashes against the metal mesh of the fence. His name is Mikio, and he works in an auto repair shop. At the end of the shift, his boss shows Mikio a photo of his sister and offers to take her out on a date. He'll also let him borrow his car. After thinking about it, he agrees. After changing his glasses for lenses, he goes to the address in an ugly, shabby building. He sees the boss pumping something into a sack, but the sack isn't just any sack. It's a sack with legs and even sews something at the same time. My sister Hagane, the man introduces her. She goes to change her clothes. Like other girls at times like this, you have to wait for her, but then she comes out, long-legged in a miniskirt, red shoes, with the sack still covering her body above her waist. The guy is confused. This is clearly not what was in the photo. But the boss is adamant, and only admonishes the guy to keep a close eye on his sister. The guy and the sack are traveling in the car. A grasshopper comes out of the sack. At first, the teenager thoughtfully opens the door of the car, but the sack starts running away with all its might, and he didn't even have to catch up as it crashed into bicycles at full speed, and then fell down the hill. The sack was clearly offended and went off on its own business, wet its feet, looked at the guy, and sat down on the bench. Mikio wonders why the girl needs the sack, but this only annoys her, having set her off again on the run. The sack girl again gets into trouble, namely, falls into the river and floats limply with the current. The sack's leg also pulls the guy into the water and is very happy about it. Mikio returns home with Hagane to change his clothes. Unfortunately, only garbage bags were found at Mikio's house to change clothes. Hagane begins to touch Mikio's face with her feet, and then crushes him with her buttocks until his nose bleeds. The sack clearly wants to get to know the guy better. Hagane draws the word "more" using Mikio's blood on the window. Mikio pounced on the sack, but the knot prevented him from passing to the next stage. When trying to untie it, a strange-looking flesh fell out of the sack, because of which the creature went completely berserk and began to destroy the room. After breaking down the door, she went outside and returned to her brother. At night, the boss calls Mikio and tells him that Hagane really liked him. The man himself is naked, washing the sack in the shower, and then takes it and beats it with a bath brush. The next day, Mikio did not want to work and went for a walk. He saw a sack and looked into it. Suddenly there was someone there, and then he saw the face of Hagane on an advertising poster. He was clearly deceived. Then a dart flies into his hand. It's the sack girl. She hid behind a bush. The guy tries to escape, but the sack continues to fire. He has to fight back. Mikio grabs a stick and starts pounding the sack, then pounds it with his hands. But the sack is not easily defeated. A blade came out of it and cut the guy. The feet wrote with blood again, "more." But Mikio is sick of it all. He takes a cobblestone and throws it on top of the sack, and then finishes it off with a metal pipe. At night, the boss comes to the teenager's house and asks him to return to work. Mikio hides and doesn't open the door. Going outside, he sees Hagane, who is clearly not feeling very well after the afternoon meeting. The sack almost falls off the cliff, but the guy manages to catch it, but then lets go anyway, and it flops down, falling from a height. However, after some time, the sack with legs finds the guy and runs straight at him. Mikio falls to his knees and asks for forgiveness. Now the sack's arms, and not just its legs, are sticking out. Hagane is crying. They hug.it seems they have reconciled, and then the creature starts ripping the sack open. The guy slips inside. He gets sucked in and screams in pain. He struggles to break free. His face is all wet with many cuts. The sack crawls up like a crab and shows what's inside. It then gobbles the guy and starts to digest him. The brother finds his Hagane when it is already swallowing Mikio's leg, the last part of the poor young man. The sack cries sitting on the sidelines, while the brother burns all of the things of his young eaten worker at the stake. But it's time to move on, and the lives of Hagane and her brother are back to normal.